Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to another video. Now I've got to hold my hands up, admit when I'm wrong. I got it horribly wrong. Bray Wyatt did not return to WWE at Hell in a Cell. We didn't see him the following night on Monday Night Raw, and it remains to be seen whether he's going to show up on SmackDown. He could randomly show up, but at this stage it's safe to say it's highly unlikely, and for the moment we're not going to see Bray Wyatt in WWE. However, that does not mean that we're not going to see Bray Wyatt in WWE this year. I honestly, truly still believe that he's coming back home to WWE to perform once again in front of his loyal Fireflies. I honestly believe that. You cannot think that nobody has had a word behind the scenes to Bray Wyatt. You cannot for a single second believe that Undertaker hasn't whispered some words in Vince McMahon's ears, or even spoke to Bray Wyatt himself. Now, Bray Wyatt literally changed his Twitter handle to Wyatt6. That was the name he had in WWE. Just taken away the Bray. His profile picture, the picture of the moth that he changed it to. If you zoom in, you can see the Fiend's face. Is he hinting at a potential evolution of the Fiend? All the cryptic messages, all ties up to him potentially coming back to WWE. Well, certainly wrestling anyway. The only slight curveball away from that makes me feel that he could go elsewhere is the line when he said, "I'm tired of hearing irrelevant clowns basically talk nonsense about me." A lot of criticism has come from the fact that many people believe that the Fiend gimmick, or a Bray Wyatt creative character like he is, creative genius, would maybe not fit the Tony Khan mould in AEW. So maybe he wants to prove people wrong. Maybe he wants to prove the fact that he could work in AEW. He could get over in AEW. I mean, Jim Cornette saying that he'd get booed out of the building in the Fiend gimmick in AEW is a bit silly. Now, the only thing I would say, Tony Khan, beware if you sign another ex-WWE employee. MJF is going to go off on one again, and quite rightly so. Just pay the man, for crying out loud. Just pay him. Otherwise it's going to be pipe bomb number 2. However, I still believe he's going to come back. Bray Wyatt is going to come back at some point to WWE, and we don't know whether there actually were still concrete plans for him to return at Hell in a Cell, and they had to swerve. There was a bit of a curveball put in their way because, of course, Cody Rhodes sustained a legitimate injury. Now, you're not going to involve the Fiend in the Hell in a Cell matchup between Cody and Seth if Cody Rhodes is going to be going away to get surgery for 6 months or so for a torn pec. Kudos to that guy wrestling, by the way. This is not going to damage the Cody Rhodes character moving forward. This is going to be a good thing for him. I think he's going to come back at the Rumble, win the Rumble, and go on and face Roman Reigns. That would be the way I would do it. Might not be the way they do it, but so far, WWE have actually got the booking of Cody Rhodes spot on, and I think this is going to be great for him. I think it's going to be better than him winning the Money in the Bank and then cashing in the briefcase somewhere along the line. He has gone out on an absolute high, and I think this has actually worked out better for him on a personal level as well. So that aside, it could have been the plan for Bray Wyatt, should I say, to get involved in that match, and now they're sort of putting that on hold and they're going to change things moving forward. Now, one place he could come back, I don't believe he will come back at a Raw or SmackDown. I think it will be a premium event if he does come back. Could be Money in the Bank. He could be a surprise entrant, win the Money in the Bank briefcase. Imagine the Fiend, or whatever alter ego Bray Wyatt decides to go with if he returns to WWE, teasing the champion in Roman Reigns, like putting the scare on him every now and then, sort of showing up, teasing the fact that he's got that briefcase down the line. That'd be quite cool. Of course, SummerSlam would be very fitting. We saw the Fiend in 2019 in an in-ring debut as the Fiend against Finn Balor. Now we know Finn Balor's in Judgment Day, the leader seemingly of Judgment Day if it's not Damian Priest. Could we see the dream match of Demon Finn Balor versus the Fiend? Always wanted to see that, always thought that had potential, that could come alight. He could emerge at SummerSlam. And again, talking of things coming full circle, that would be then 3 years since we saw him in 2019 in that in-ring debut, which is where arguably they got the Fiend right, spot on, creatively. It was an absolutely phenomenal debut, and he could restart, evolve that Fiend gimmick further from SummerSlam. Clash of the Castle, Clash at the Castle, should I say, in the UK. Probably unlikely he's going to make a return there. I think that's going to be all about Drew McIntyre and the Roman Reigns matchup. However, don't lose faith, honestly. He is coming back to the wrestling world in some capacity at some point soon. Now, people will say he's never coming back, so every time we get our hopes up, he's not coming back. But we knew there's a slim chance he was going to come back at Hell in a Cell. But as the weeks go by, there's more and more of a chance that he could come back and will come back to WWE. And I honestly don't think they're gonna bury him when he comes back. I think he's going to get more creative freedom than he's ever had before. He's going to get a big money deal. It's going to work both ways. WWE are changing things slightly at the moment. Things are getting better. Things are more promising. I love the swerve of Edge, albeit the fact that they just need another face in Edge. On the Raw brand due to Cody, and I do think that's the reason why they did that swerve with the Judgment Day. However, if ever there was a time that WWE needed a character like Bray Wyatt, the Fiend Bray Wyatt in WWE, it is now, especially on Raw and even you could say on SmackDown. Cody Rhodes going away from WWE at the moment to get surgery is leaving a big gap in the top lead babyface on Raw as it is. Now Roman, he's of course the undisputed champion on a reduced schedule. Can the Fiend sort of fit more of a full-time schedule gap that Roman Reigns can't at the moment due to his new contract that he's negotiated, which seems like a pretty cushy one in his favour. And I can't blame him. You know, clearly down the line he's going to be looking at Hollywood and other ventures away from WWE, and you can't blame him. He's done it all. I mean, he's beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Like, where'd you go from there? So, remains to be seen. What do you think? Get down in the comment sections. Do you think he's still going to return? Do you think he's still going to return to WWE? Or do you think he is going to go elsewhere? Another promotion, AEW? But as I said, don't upset MJF any more than he already is. Legitimately, or whether this is work, remains to be seen. Exciting times in the wrestling world, it's safe to say. Thank you so much for watching the video. Be really appreciative as always if you could like the video, share the video, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you in another wrestling video.